Hi folks, Michael O'Doherty here, and you are very welcome to the Pendulum Pod, where all health matters worldwide are discussed. Now, joining me this evening is my good friend and colleague, Tom Griffin, who is in Mayo, that beautiful part of the west coast of Ireland. And Tom, thank you for joining me.
No problem, Michael. It's my pleasure anytime, man.
Yeah, it's great to catch up. In the last 25 to 30 years, I mean, where has it all gone wrong? Or has it gone wrong? Or was this destined to happen anyway?
Well, it also gone wrong. I think things happen. I think like fear happen. Things happen for people. And I suppose the pace of life goes on because, 30, 40 years ago, we were single and younger, we thought differently as you get married and you have family and as you get older, I suppose, you can see life differently, and I suppose you have the benefit of hindsight, and you can look back. For kids come up now and they're up to 20, 25 years of age, like they're in this energy. They don't know what it was like in our time,
Mm-hmm.
So on some levels, like they're coping with this quite well out of them because they have their social media. They're all computer literate. They're educated, and to a degree, a lot of the young kids are philosophical. Granted, they have fear as well, and fear of their future because it's their future, and they worry about their job, their work, and everything else. And I suppose that's there. But that was always there. There was always like outside stuff going on in people's lives. But I think at the moment, it's people are taking opportunity to go internal. Like even if you look at the media there and the alternative media, like all the people talk about meditation, talk about how to overcome fear, relaxation, coming into presence, and the likes of Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden, all them wonderful scientists and doctors like that are given tremendous credibility in science to give them more credibility to who we are as people, as individuals, and the internal power we have, and the type of energy we can access, and the type of ability we have to co-create and to be more involved in creating our reality. And I think this is there today too. This is new thinking. It wasn't there nowadays, Michael, because we didn't have the internet like this. We didn't have instant communication, and we had to get together in groups of people, in large groups of people, and that's how we learned, and that's how we survived. But you're right about that too. People at that time probably didn't have as much going on in their life because obviously, they didn't have as much distractions and as much going on as people have now. And years ago, I remember when people were saying, when computers come in, it'll be much easier for people. People have more leisure time. But it's just the opposite, People are totally stressed and they don't. Like, they take their work home to bed. There's never as many people stressed. I remember here the last recession we had, that's not so many years ago, people asked me, were you busy during the recession or did it affect you? I said, I was never as busy because there was no recession and stress and anxiety. We could see that. And that's happening now as well. And any recession brings a huge amount of stress and anxiety. People like us will always be busy, or fortunately or unfortunately for that situation, because I suppose people turn to us, like Tom, a light. And they're not just us, as any light worker, as any energy worker, any person who's positive and that probably who's gone outside the box, and somebody gone outside the box in their thinking, and when stuff comes down the line, as I say, that proverbial shit hits the fan, people look for a bit of stability, and it's often people like us they look for them,
Absolutely, but when we look at it in the context of energy, we can talk about the theories and the science and all of the great sort of speakers we hear on the internet right now and on YouTube, and they're all talking about this great ability we have. But you and I have had we had the foresight 30 years ago when we talked about energy, where all of these people are coming along now and they're talking this language. But at the same time, when we put it in the context of energy, and we think that everything emerges, and we know that everything emerges from energy, and the likes of Professor Valerie Hunt and the likes of Dr. Becker and, Bjorn Nordenstam of Sweden and all of these, we're able to break this whole thing down to a frequency. So when we put it in the context of energy, Tom, for people out there listening, I mean, they need to understand that what's happening now is obviously a reflection of the type of energy or frequency that is, I suppose, vibrating within the world at the moment.
Well, that's true. There's yin and yang, good and bad, and there's a push and pull and everything. And in this reality, we have polarity, we have light and dark, and there's always a constant sort of tension between this from everyone, going on like that. But I think what people also like is the personal experience of healing. And when people come to us, I suppose, and, they had a personal experience of transformation and an illness or something that changed their lives, and then they begin to see something differently. And I think that kind of gives people kind of an inner power to deal with their future. And granted, there's no doubt there's a lot of sort of energy out there, or worldviews and polarities. That when you stand back and look at, like, there's so many belief systems, there's so many media outlets, there's so many different things going on right now. There's so much business going on right now in the world, and like all of a sudden that has stopped. That business has stopped. And I think that's given people a chance to come back to themselves and reflect on who they really are and what's really going on. They can kind of see it a bit more objectively. The business has stopped. The business has stopped. Well, the business has stopped as well,
Mm-hmm.
And
but the thing
in one way, it's an opportunity for us all to look and to talk like this and to grow and to reflect.
Yeah.
And to, but the main thing is not to buy into fear, because fear you can't cure fear with fear. You have to go beyond it. Like, it's always a matter of, we have to go beyond the emotions out there, the belief systems out there, the negative emotions, the negative stuff that's being put on us. Like, if we buy into that can negatively affect us in our attitude, our mental ability, our immune system, how we see life. We have to have something solid inside ourselves. Now, I suppose in olden times, people at prayer and the church and everything else, they can say what they like, but like, they did have a base, like, they did have faith and did have trust in something. And that sustained people in terrible times and going back into our ancestors. And I think, we have to find that, I suppose, spiritual dimension, or, deeper dimension of ourselves to connect onto. And, they're talking about, like, coming into the present and letting go of the past and the future and being in the present moment. If people could just be present and in the present moment and have gratitude, and come into their hearts. And I think that's where it is. Like, it's about heart. Mm-hmm. And even for an experience, like, it's not for the mind. It's to say the heart can experience things that the mind doesn't know about. You know what I mean? And I think it's about coming into the heart again, and be more compassionate, be more loving, be more open. Be more willing, willing to be positive, mm-hmm. and not to buy into the negativity that's out there, because there's an awful out there right now.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I mean, you touched on an awful lot of things there, Tom, but recently I was dialoguing with Father Simon Sleeman from Glenstall Abbey, and, we were chatting all about this, and I suppose the thing was that we had in some way disconnected from the wisdom of the elders, that in some way we had disconnected from ourselves, that we lived in this world where we were bombarded with bits of information, overloaded with information, and that, we had no time for ourselves, that we had no space. We were chatting about this, what I call this recovery, this spiritual recovery space, and that maybe in a way this is what's happening now, that it's forcing us back into rediscovering who we are, reconnecting, resurrecting our own lives, reassessing our own lives. Is that what we fear more than anything else, I think? Do we fear the power that we have? I mean, move away from all of the theories and the beliefs, but in reality and in essence, it's within ourselves that we have this enormous power to shape our own lives and our own world and our own future. And maybe this is really what we fear.
Yeah, I think that's happening. I think, like, we're in that status is when the business has calmed down, Michael, I think we have an opportunity to change. We will see what comes out of this, in a couple of weeks, a month. Already you can see, like, that people are helping each other out, people are more compassionate. Even people says to me, people talk, even though you can't go trust them, you're actually talking across the wall. And, at a distance, when I go off my walk, I meet more people like I just talk to them at 5 meters away. We actually start to have a chat. Do you know what I mean? Like, and before, people didn't want to know. So, I mean, paradoxically, so ironically, like, we're all being leveled out by this, because, as I said, this virus, if it is a virus, whatever it is, it's apolitical. It's borders don't have it. Like, it's affecting everybody, the big and the small. So we're all in the same boat right now. Whether your neighbour's a millionaire or a bishop or a pauper, like, you talk to him and you might communicate with him again in a way that you haven't before, because you realise, like, we have something common as people. And, as people, we're very powerful, very powerful, but we've also emotions. We also have feelings. And it's important to feel wanted, to feel loved, and to feel connected. Do you understand? At a time like this. And I think that may be part of the spiritual revival, but also what people are realizing that, we are more than just this physical reality. We're more than this physical reality. We're, as I say, we're eternal beings having, sentient beings having a human experience. Mm-hmm. And when we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, we can forget about that, because, you and I would have seen this in our clinics over there, and I've seen so many times, like, people come in chronically depressed, chronically anxious, and these people were often very busy, were extremely working 15, 18 hours a day, couldn't make enough money, couldn't make this, and all of a sudden the whole world collapses and they're devastated,
Yes.
But the nature calls them back. Something calls us back, and I think this could be an opportunity for growth as well as anything else. And I think that I have a good feeling that we're going to come out of this better people and a better society, to be honest with you.
But again though, Tom, and it's something that is obviously going to take time to determine what's going to come out of it. But, we have to see right now that people are on lockdown. They have fear, anxiety, and worries, not just about what's happening in the world. They're concerned, will they have a job to go back to? They're concerned about the economic situation. So in a way, we can only shape ourselves mentally, emotionally, but I don't know if we are ready for that, because, whether it was a virus or an illness, we saw the increases in illness, we saw the increases in suicide and depression long before this virus came along. Nothing that hasn't changed, except that people, as you say, may not be as busy. But it's obviously, how does our society, how do the organizations, our society, structure a way, plan a way, strategize a way, to overcome the impact this is going to have? Because for sure, there is going to be an impact. So really, what is really going to emerge out of it? Are we going to find ourselves back where we were when we started in 30 years ago, where people are going to be living on a lot less, or people are going to have a lot less, where, suddenly, life presents many challenges to them, mentally, emotionally, economically? This could be a massive traumatic experience for our people, Tom.
I think all of those, Michael, what you said is quite possible. So I had to pick out one of them, But I do believe myself, from what I've seen over the years, my own work, is that when people came to us like in death's door, when they were, everything that they seen everything lost, through our interaction and positive energy and goodwill and our connection, we help the people to turn to help and realize that we can access an internal power. And I believe that there's a resilience within people. There is resilience in people and ingenuity. Human beings are made for this type of thing. We've survived it over the years and over the centuries. I think getting into the moment, getting into the present is very important, because make a decision now of what you want for your future, how you want to see the future. I want to see a different future. I want to see a future of compassion. I want to see respect for nature. I want to see fair play. If enough of individuals, enough of people are on this path, they can create that vibration. Do you understand? And they can create that consciousness that goes out into the ether, Mm-hmm. Because, as I said, fear, all these things, they're low frequency energies, and people will have jobs, and of course they will. All these things will happen. The human being is very resilient. Things will come back, but we know they come back. We want them to come back differently. We don't want the same normal. We want a new normal. We want a better normal than we had before. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, and
for people to create a new normal. And part of that is becoming aware of our spiritual lessons. But as human beings, but like as I said, there's an old saying: there's always enough in the world for man's need, but never enough for man's greed.
Yes. And
there'll be enough of everything if it's distributed properly. So, it's not just us; it's politicians, it's governments, it's institutions, societies. Some of the the bureaucracy and the greed has to go out of that too. And I think, in fairness, our government is showing the light and compassion at the moment, and maybe with the new governments that are forming after this, maybe they will have more light and compassion for people, and for if they care as much in the future. And now it's about the older people and the few that can die with this, because as somebody says, the most that can happen is maybe 1% of the population can die. The very worst that can happen. And is that, I don't think society is going to stall up because that, unfortunate that may happen, but I'm hoping that like the thinking in the future will be as concerned about, people and about the minorities that they are now. You know what I mean? That's a good start. Also about nature, you see what they're doing to the animals, even in China at the moment. We have to start respecting Mother Nature and respecting nature again. I think that's very important. You know what I mean?
Well, you see, we started using nature as an experiment rather than understanding our interaction with it, and that we were very part of it. But the thing is that, what you expressed there, Tom, was kind of the ideal. But the reality, I think, for many is going to be totally the opposite. And that, I suppose, what we have found over the years is that the great thing about working with the energy system of the body, when I talked about energy earlier, our work has always been to rebalance, reestablish the flow of energy, to release that blockage, to release those fears and anxieties. That's the great thing about the work you and I do, that we have the 30 years of experience in working at that energetic level that can help people to outgrow that fear and anxiety, and to bring them into that space where they can see the light again, that they can overcome the trauma and the stresses that they're experiencing, surely.
Yeah. And I've seen people over the years here, Michael, who were so low, that they didn't care about any virus or anything like that. They were already dying as far as they were concerned. There's nothing left. They were that low. That they've gone through their coronavirus. They've gone through their purgatory. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And they have transformed out of that at an individual level, made better lives and changed their lives. So we can all do that. I think it's important that as an individual level, each one of us takes that into stock and looks at ourselves individually. If we can't generalize too much, because everybody's an individual and we are all connected in some way at the end of the day. So I think what each individual goes through in themselves, and the positive energy, the radiation, the transformations they make, I think that does make a difference. And it does override a lot of that low vibration of fear and anxiety and stuff that's out there, and stuff that's frightening people. Because fear is only like a projection of something into the future. It's projecting something, and it can cause anxiety. But you can when you come into presence, into the moment, into your heart, into what we say, compassion, come into forgiveness, come into peace. Come into the heart. There's no ego, no judgment. And it's a lovely place to be. And being in the moment every day, just taking time every day to come into presence and just to enjoy what's going on, and to have gratitude. Gratitude for what you have now. Gratitude for everything around you. It's such a powerful spiritual phenomenon. That connects you in a way that fear and anxiety can never connect you. Buying into fear and buying into other people's opinions. People have to come into that within themselves, to gratitude, come into their heart, come into their heart space, into their heart field. And this is so powerful because the synchronicity that happens after that is amazing. Things will happen in your life. If people do this, to see themselves as having a great life from now, having a great job, having happiness, and begin to feel that happiness inside them. This is what will synchronously happen in days, weeks, and months' time.
The thing is,
come around again. Yeah, don't live on the fear. There's no need for that. That's a vacuum.
Yeah, the thing about it is this, and that is certainly the hope for everybody. That we can find and we can navigate our way out of this. You see, when you just take the present situation, for example, the mindset, the consciousness that people exist in at the moment. This experience, this virus is something that people can't see. They don't know when it's going to end. And in a way, the biggest challenge to people, because they lived in a world where they felt they could be in control, suddenly now, as you say, the whole thing is a leveler. People are no longer in control. So they have to fall back only into themselves, really, and get into that heart space, get into that divinity within themselves, and find that peace and contentment within themselves. That's really the only way they can overcome, at least then by doing something to meditate, to breathe, to relax, to get out amongst nature, to listen to the birds. At least little things like this will help them to connect with the internal aspect of their own being, and at least they can be in control of that, because that's the real fear, that they're not in control of the outcome of the situation, isn't it?
that you said it, you couldn't have said it any better myself. That you said exactly what's going on, and maybe when this is over, if people want to go to our clinics and have some energy work and be recalibrated, we can certainly. I've no doubt we can certainly help them there. And that's not in that egotistical sense, but I know it can.
Yes.
And I know even the people that have came to us, and I know people have talked to me over the last while, and the fact that they had the interactions with us energetically and everything else, it says that it really helped them to be more focused, less fearful. You know what I mean? More positive. They felt more in control of themselves, and I think that's important to remember. That there is help there for every one of us. And I do believe in the nature. I do believe Mother Earth is a spirit being. I do believe she's helping us. She's also recalibrating because we didn't listen to all the warnings. We're polluting the earth and all sorts of things going on, and experiments with animals and all sorts of disrespect for all living beings. And I think maybe we might have a greater respect for all things living after this, Yeah. And I think we're all being cocooned, the rich, the poor, it's without borders, it's without status. Everybody is in the same boat right now, you know what I mean? And we're all vulnerable, but we're all powerful. So I think it's how you think, There's a great saying, Oscar Wilde made a great saying one time. He says, why didn't somebody tell me that in every ivory cell lies God's high heaven or hell? In other words, every moment you make a decision, every moment you decide who you are, you create your God, your heaven or hell within every moment in time, Coming into the moment, you create it within every moment. So every moment is important because the future is now in the future. It's just a moment in time. So everything is happening in the big field of consciousness. And I think because we've never experienced something like this before in this way, in this particular way, it's an interesting passage for us, Michael, too. Also for us as probably light workers or people who worked outside the box and built our life on new ideas and new concepts and new things and and energy and everything else that went with it. It's also an experience for us, and we can observe what's going on around. And I'm observing, and I'm involved in a meditation group there on Wednesday nights as well with a whole group of people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're feeling amazingly positive with the meditation that we're doing because it feels like it's personal, mm-hmm. And they feel like that they're connected. And I think that's what people need to feel now: a sense of community and a sense of connection to others as well as themselves. And to realize like that we will get over it. We're not alone. We're not alone. We're not isolated. We don't have to feel this fear. We don't have to give energy. We shouldn't give energy to the fear. Only give it to the healing and only give it to the positive. So people need to visualize how they want to live their life afterwards. Visualize what they want. So I'm having a good job and my job is doing well. I have a new attitude to life. I'm getting better with my family, my friends. I'm getting on with my wife, my mother. Or I took the time out, did me good. I looked into myself and I've reevaluated my life in all sorts of ways. And I'm more connected, more spiritual now, whether it's to religious wise or just meditation or going with nature, that something has changed for all of us. And I think that's what's necessary. There is a shift in the overall consciousness they're talking about. I think this is part of it. There's no saying you can't see a colour on the rainbow when you're that colour. You can only see it when you stand back and see on other colours when you've gone through that or see like as a bigger picture. So we're going through a part of a shift in consciousness now to a better world. But we don't always see it moment by moment. It's only maybe as time goes on. Mm-hmm. We'll actually see the benefit of all this work that we're actually doing on ourselves,
Yeah, I think now more than ever, given the circumstances that energy work and everybody involved in any form of complementary medicine, whether it be homeopathy or, kinesiology or massage or Chinese sang or anybody, that now more than ever is needed because, the one thing that I find that this experience does to people from talking to people myself and indeed every day, that it drains the energy. And if you think in a way that if so many people are in this country and throughout the world are going to get some form of sickness or some part of this virus is going to affect them, the one thing that's going to happen is that you're going to have people who are going to be on top of everything else suffering from post-viral fatigue. So medicine in a way finds it very difficult to confront this because it doesn't understand the human being from the level we understand it. So therefore, now more than ever is the work that we are doing going to be valued and respected again by the people, because this is the one type of work that will help them to overcome those things, I suppose.
Very powerful. That's exactly true. It will take weeks and months for some people to recover. Even if there's a virus without any symptoms, like you get this tiredness and fatigue. And fatigue that's going on and symptoms, and you need something to help you to recover you from that. But also the energy work and the meditation, the self-reflection and work of the heart is also the most powerful for building your immune system. Mm-hmm. This has been proven.
Absolutely.
The mind-body epigenetic connection is very pronounced in the mind-body. Your immune system responds when you're happy, when you're content, when you're joyful. Like your immune cells are at their best. You know what I mean? To protect you and to help you recover. If you're sad, lonely, down, depressed, anxious, full of fear, this is more dangerous than the virus, Michael.
That's correct. I mean, I said this
more
recently.
Than the actual virus.
I said this recently.
And there's a lot of talk about the virus at the moment, and there's a lot of stuff like people saying, is it a conspiracy? Is it man-made? Is it genetically man-made? I don't know. It's possible. There are possibilities that maybe down the road a lot more come to light. Maybe there was some sinister reason behind it in world politics or, world economics, something like that. We don't know, but we may know in the future. I think with the way things are going, we may know, and so time will tell. Mm-hmm. But having said that, look, we still have to move beyond it into presence and take this opportunity to evolve, to heal, and become a better place. And that's how you deal with anything or any negativity that's thrown at you. You face it head on. You don't give that energy. You give energy to the light, and you give energy to you bring light into the world, you bring light to people's lives, and you bring consciousness. And I think that's really what's important.
And what you were saying earlier, Tom, for people, the one of the best things they can do is to visualize, to have, if they have this feeling or image of their future being jobless, homeless or whatever, to immediately replace that and change that visual perspective of their life and future. Very powerful.
Because you see, what visualize now is the future. Because at that level of consciousness, like if we visualize, Michael, something, we want something in lack, it doesn't work. It's like the bank. They give you money when you don't need it. When you want it, they won't give it to you. It's a bit radical. It's like the same with the universe. If you look for something when you're lacking it, I want it, I have to have it, Jesus, give it to me. It won't happen. But if you say, I already have loads, I am so abundant, I have a fantastic job, I have so much money, it will come to you in spades, like the bank will give it when you don't want to, because the universe doesn't understand lack. Mm-hmm. The law of manifestation doesn't understand lack. It only understands abundance. It understands the positive. So people see themselves now having a good job, having a great time, being over all this, visualizing themselves a beautiful find out there and says, we learned so much, we're over it, and we will get over it. It doesn't matter how long time, we will get over it. And people are resilient, and people will be better. And visualize that new consciousness that you want to create, the type of a world that you want to create, you want to live in. And that's what I do every day. Fantastic. I visualize that new world, and I see there happening. And I have no fear now. Mm-hmm. I have no fear of anything, because I have total acceptance, because I've already put into my field the consciousness and the new world that I want to see. Do you understand?
And that's so powerful.
That's when I know that that's my world, that's my reality. Doesn't matter what happens around you. That's the reality that each one of us needs to create. It doesn't matter what happens around you. People say to me, Tom, what about the bed, and what about all this, and what about that? I said, but that's not my reality. That's not the world I'm creating. That's not the timeline. I have the power to change my timeline, to create my reality, to co-create my reality. This is the one I want to create. Exactly. I'm not buying into the fear, not buying into that,
People need to focus on that. I was reading something the other day, and it says, when you're driving a car, the windscreen, the windscreen in the front, the windscreen is much bigger than the one in the back. And, the reason being is because you don't need to look back as much. And I think that's what people need to do. They need to create this.
Lovely, that's lovely, very nice.
It's to create this image of in a big screen in their own mind of themselves, free from anxiety, having more energy, being more connected to their family, being more connected to their community and friends, having reassessed their lives, having resurrected their lives, and having this very focused vision and image and feeling that now the future, there's an opportunity. I was actually talking to Michael Flatley the other day, and he said something very powerful to me. He said, look at Michael, he said, when we were chatting about that, it was yesterday, and he was saying to me, look at Michael, he says, you look at right now, he says, I see this world maybe that we're in a bit of a fog, but for me, he says, I know that the land is just waiting right now to emerge. I know it's going to emerge, and it's for those who focus. A lot of people live in the fog, you see, Tom. They don't realize, well, the island is just 100 meters ahead, and that we will come to dry ground. And these are the type of things people need to focus on. Listen to the positive things, attract the positive things into their lives, the creative things, and stick with that positive focused image and feeling of what it is they want to aspire to in the future.
Yeah. I one of the affirmations for my meridians there. I say, I let go of the past. I am fully present in the now, and I am constantly creating my future. I think that's really the mantra we need to be talking about.
Repeat that again.
I am fully present in the now. I let go of the past. I am fully present in the now. I am confidently creating my future. And I think that's really where it all comes from.
Well, I think that is a very positive and powerful affirmation to finish on, Tom. So appreciate your time. Thanks a million for that.
No
really
problem. Anytime, man. Anytime. I hope people can benefit in any way we can help them and talk. If it helps people to talk and chat, to throw out ideas and to be positive, that's powerful for all of us. You know what I mean? Because we're all human.
Thank you.
And we're all connected and we're all spirit. So have faith and trust, and we get over it. No problem.